Hi, I'm Kenneth WAJDA and I'm a professional photographer in Colorado. Welcome to another one of my photography talks. Today I'm going to talk about photographing somebody outdoors when you have to work with a harsh sun overhead or somewhat overhead. Back in the old film days, when Kodachrome and Kodacolor were the films of choice by Kodak and they were putting out how can you get the brightest colors, they always said put the sun behind you. Because if the sun is behind you, this blue shirt is as blue as it can be, and the camera has the best chance of figuring out the exposure for it. So you've got great color and proper exposure. But we've got digital now. We've got film cameras with smart meters or smart operators. We don't need to be at the mercy of only shooting front lit subjects. If you're shooting a portrait and you shoot front lit, I guarantee most of the time you will have a subject that is squinting at the camera. And if they're wearing sunglasses, it tends to take away the energy of their face, because if you can't see eyes, it can be a cool photo, but it doesn't have the connectivity that a portrait with eyes showing has. But if they take off their sunglasses, they will squint. And no matter how hard they try not to, they'll look like they're squinting and they're doing this. So, backlight them. Turn them around 180 degrees and put the sun behind their head. Now they're no longer squinting because they're not looking into the sun. Now they've got a little bit of a hair light. If you can set them against a dark background, like say a wall that doesn't have any sun on it because of the way the sun is hitting different buildings. A wall that has no sun on it will be a dark background, their hair will be lit up, and then they will not be squinting and their face will have nice, soft, even light on it. If you have a white card or a white van or a friend who's tall with a white shirt, stand them in front of that person and all the sun that is now coming past that person will reflect back onto their face. Sometimes I'll see a van or a wall in such a place and I'll tell somebody to go stand near it and I'll make sure they're facing the wall, because if they're facing the wall, all that light will bounce onto their face and it'll be a beautiful, wonderful, rich, soft portrait of their face. So backlight is your friend. A little fill-in with something white in the front is a nice thing. Without it, you can still expose for the face and you will still have a really nice portrait, because you can expose for the face and the background will go dark if you set them against something dark. You'll get that hair light and you won't get that squint. And that's a real important thing, is if somebody is comfortable, they tend to give their best personality in a photograph. If they're uncomfortable, they're kind of waiting for it to be over. So use backlight. Backlight's your friend. Yes, you have to overexpose a little bit. Yes, the camera meter can be fooled, but you can see what you're doing, or you can meter their face without the sun in the photograph so that you're not being fooled. If you're shooting with a long lens like a 135 or a 85 or a 100 millimeter lens on a 35 millimeter camera, those lenses, because they're so narrow in their field of view, you won't get the sun in the frame when you're metering them. If you're shooting with a 24 millimeter and they're a small portion of the frame and the sun is in the shot, you're going to get a meter reading that's going to underexpose their face. But if you're shooting with a portrait lens, you can get a really nice portrait of somebody using a moderate telephoto lens or even a long telephoto like a 200 and putting that sun behind them so that they're no longer staring at the sun, and then now you can communicate with them, you can draw out their personality, you can get them laughing, you can get them serious, you can get them posed, but they're working for your camera and they're not fighting the sun. That's today's photo tip for outdoor portraits. Thanks for watching. If you're enjoying, hit the subscribe button, I'll bring you some more. Thanks.